The book serves as an introduction, or a reminder of the human pantheon, known as the Availloth. It is not a holy book, nor an examination of the damned, but rather a primary course of educational materials. What follows is a description of the deities within the Availloth. Consisting of 2 levels, the Pantheon has a total of 9 deities. Uniquely, each level has 5 deities, as the god Ocirico is counted within both levels of the Pantheon. The subjects are categorized as follows. The Proto-Pantheon. Nador, the judge of all. It is said that all souls face Nador upon their death, and it is he alone who may give them to Korcera or Ulthiros. His knowledge of souls is said to be infinite, and humans believe he judges all races, considering him beyond their pantheon. His citadel, known as the Supremacy, is situated prominently in Thronefast, serving as an unyielding house of oversight, tradition, and yes, worship. The Supremacy holds the deepest secrets of not only the human race, but of knowledge far beyond them. It is the oldest following among the humans, but the mysterious origins trace to a time before this pantheon, to their former planet of Vas Demeth. In fact, the Order has included races besides humans, possibly even in this very era. The devotees of Nador go by many names, but are led by the judges of Nador. Little is known about the judges, although it is believed that section of their order does not cover the entire structure of their governance. The 5 of Virtue. This section is a collection of the descriptions of the 5 gods of virtue in the human Availloth pantheon. Ocirico, the blind fatesmith of virtue. The lone deity who is found in both the Availloth of virtue and of contempt, Ocirico is typically counted twice. Known as the blind fatesmith, Ocirico forsook his eyesight at the dawn of time so as not to craft the record of history in favor of any nation, ruler, or individual. Thus, he is often depicted with a cloak that covers the top half of his face, though it is merely an artistic trait, as he truthfully has no eyes. Believed to be the god most acquainted with Nador, Ocirico shapes fate as if it were one continuously evolving work of metal. Once in a millennia, that work is revealed for Nador to hang in the heavens, and a new work is begun. With each blow of the hammer, Ocirico records the life of everything in the mortal world, his strikes falling without flinch or discrimination. When his work is finished, it is prophesied that all of history will be manifested at once, and time, as well as fate, with no material left to course upon, will each cease entirely. As mentioned before, Ocirico is often counted in both branches of the Availloth. This is not due to his inherently virtuous or contemptible nature, but rather how members of humanity perceive his dispensation of fate. If your fortunes are good, perhaps Ocirico is pleased with you because he is good, and you value yourself as good. But if calamity is ever at your door, then he must be evil, because you are good, and underserving of these slights of the Fatesmith. Even further, the proudest of mankind mock Ocirico, his dominion often slandered and his power reduced to that of an ineffectual, maimed laborer. But, to the humble, he is understood as a purely even god, whom they respect but do not necessarily honor, for he seeks no such praise. Argos, he who brings peace. Argos is the chief deity of Fortress Devair, and the Devair noble family. While his title suggests a passive role, Argos is often paired with the elements of war. He is the bringer of peace, to be sure, but peace is often brought through conflict. Argos is often depicted on shields and sails, or in the case of Thronefast itself, on the massive ballista that face the Bethrael Sea. His presence is believed to determine the outcome of battle, as he is hailed as undefeated in every encounter on Terminus. It is among the highest honors to declare a warrior fraught with Argos, owing to his or her inability to be deterred from victory. Argos is sometimes referred to as the Bringer, and his worship spikes in times of peril or battle, waning among the population in times of peace. Thus, his priests are known to remark, "Argos is forgotten as quickly as he arrives, and lamented as quickly as he departs." Vacera, the lady who gives. Since Thronefast's founding, Vacera has been increasingly seen as the divine benefactor of its wealth and power. Because of this belief, she has ascended to prominence, if not true reverence. Whereas Korcera, or even Argos, have often been the prime deities throughout human history, elevated in eras where death and battle were the most pressing concerns, this new age of achievement has raised Vacera in kind. Among the wealthy and the nobility, it is now fashionable to honor Vacera, while her fortunes are still sought out as the last hope among the destitute. Misconceptions about her purpose are not Vacera's fault, of course, and could the goddess speak to her new convoy of affluent followers, she would no doubt test the shallowness of their devotion. Korcera, protector of the holy. Long ranking at the top of the human pantheon, along with Argos, Korcera is both a guardian and a guide to the pious and valiant. Her arms are said to stretch as wide as the human race, with no righteous soul left unconsidered or humble voice unheard. In the realm beyond mortality, she is said to lead the defense of the holy against the damned who escape from Ulthiros' keeping. While Korcera's place has shifted back amongst all tiers of the civilian population, within the military, her position endures undiminished, ever the bedrock of their bravery in defeat and bulwark against hubris in victory. Korcera's kiss is said to rest upon the noble of heart, no matter their rank in society, birth, or tragedy in death. In the wake of the deicide war, few celestial relationships were as devastated as Korcera's with her followers. The understanding of what shifted is still painfully weak, but there was a global severing in the direct communion between gods and mortals. Devout followers of the Protector of the Holy said they could hear her wailing over the entire continent in the quiet of the night for several years. The centuries of writings from Korcera's libraries survived, even while Havensong did not. As a tribute to constant worship, much of this ancient wisdom, writ in wonder, was studiously converted into song, hymn, and chant. The doors to her expansive halls are always open, and the sounds of vocal instrumentation never ceases, save during the Feast of Accounts, when only one speaker at a time is permitted. The high columns and golden statues seem to burn in the downpour of sunlight, which cascades through the walls of glass, mainly overlain with metallic scenes of past saints. Niri, the daughter of mirth. Niri is often depicted with her brother Biri in a manner that reflects their opposing approaches to dispensing joy into the lives of mortals. Niri lifts the eye of the depressed souls of humanity with deep care and impervious peace. Not a mere repository of happy thoughts, Niri aids in helping mortals break free of false joys as equally as she supplies new and authentic ones. While some reduce her position to one of simple mood improvement, true devotees know the goddess's great benefit for those who diligently seek her out. She gives her long-suffering adherents unshakable delight, even in the face of incalculable loss. The sound of her laughter is said to cure sickness of the heart and mind, and Niri's mirth is a blessing that cannot be purchased, though many have tried. The Five of Contempt. This section of the Book of Availloth is a collection of the descriptions of the 5 gods of contempt in the human Availloth pantheon: Lucerra, Ossari, Ulthiros, Biri, and Ocirico. Ossari, he who rages. After descending to join the cohort of the Ravaging Lord, along with Haethus Krevjel of the Archai, Ossari enjoyed great success amongst his former race. Mercifully, he suffered a mortal's fate at the hands of the Sons of Terminus on the Silent Plains. As with all of the 5 of Contempt, there is illegality associated with the worship of Ossari. Temples and shrines to Ossari are by law destroyed immediately upon discovery, with prison terms levied among the participants. Tokens and depictions of Ossari are similarly outlawed, But some vengeful mortals keep these items buried beneath their cloaks, and bodily markings similarly covered. In those depictions, the head of the defrocked god is often missing, though he still holds his twin axes, Thrash and Profane. Despite this persecution, his name is still invoked, most often by those seeking vengeance, or used as a curse by those who have been empowered by great anger. Lucerra, the sister who takes. Lucera's miserable wake is as full as the net she carries over her shoulder. That net is overflowing with every good thing in life, things she has stolen from mortals throughout all time. From the trinkets of children to a beating heart, Lucera's long serpentine fingers are said to have taken from every mortal who has ever lived, filling up her net as she wails throughout the world. There is no joy within her eternal being. Instead of a heart, there swirls a bottomless yearning, an abyss of hopelessness that causes her to steal from the lives of mortals without restraint. She is the enemy of childbirth and the harvest, too vile for the common thief. Her envy, too indefatigable for the jealous. Lucera's belly can never be filled, and her few followers are consumed by the horrors of despair. When a human unexpectedly recovers something in his or her life, it is taken as a sign that Lucera's net was too full with the woes of others and the item fell out. This item is to be received with somber appreciation, as it means that many others have already suffered by Lucera's dark hand. Ulthiros, Keeper of the Damned. When souls depart the plane of mortality, it is said they are seated briefly before Nador, prior to being handed over to Korcera or Ulthiros for safe harbor. For the Keeper of the Damned, the office is one of steady warden, rather than eternal guardian. In deference to the Judge of all, Ulthiros rarely makes a claim for souls, though a few over the centuries are rumored to have been specifically spoken for, and these the worst of all humanity. Again, worship of Ulthiros is forbidden, though this ban is most readily enforced after the madness of King Alonthir, who sought to elevate Ulthiros after the death of his queen Coreti. His followers are notorious in reputation and appearance. Wearing locks about their robes, this order practices the forbidden worship of the Keeper of the Damned. It is not that Ulthiros himself is maligned, although his terrifying office is kept out of most conversation, but that bowing to him or claiming to be his servant is reviled as sacrilege. Nonetheless, the members of his sect seek to elevate themselves in his sight and misuse his power to constrain the living. Thus, the locks, meant to signify Ulthiros' role as the deity who keeps the damned locked away. The reclusive order is growing in the dark light of hidden places, and is best avoided at all costs. It is worth noting that some Banshee have been drawn to the sanctuaries dedicated to Ulthiros, though their ends are not well understood. Biri, the son of mischief. The patron deity of the drunk and the thief, Biri is viewed not with the same instinctive dread as his three contemptible counterparts. Rather, acts of worship to Biri are often more than not unintentional, ignorant, and irreverent, but nonetheless destructive. They range from the youth lighting wicks tied to the legs of chickens, to pirate captains sinking unladen fishing skiffs for self-pleasure. Biri's defense is always that he is a harmless criminal, and yet his unwary devotees are oft left paying the price. Beneath his glee lies a scorn that begs to be revered and known, and it is to this heart that Niri pleads her brother abandon his mischief and join her in mirth.